I thank JCI India for this opportunity. I thank my zone president, all JCs who have created this big movement of trainings over webinars and the kind of reinvention that is happening across the globe, and we as JCs being part of that. So probably the moment I was asked for this training, I thought that I should be a part of this movement because this is so big and so significant, and it's going to be so crucial for the generations to follow. And I thank all my mentors. I thank my guru, my master trainer Vaman sir, who trained me as the in my NDTTS. I thank Rao sir for being here. I thank all great role models of this zone, Bhagwan sir and the president, all of you for being here. Well, the topic is the C factor, and okay. Right. The moment I said transformational training for the post 2020 world, there was an intention. There was an intention to bring out this training, which could have been a bigger training of a 1 day or a 2 day training in live. But I thought I should bring the idea of that because most people in the recent times have been deciding to either become a speaker or to become a trainer. So I thought, what would be the right idea that probably we can share who have been in this domain for a while and have been really passionate about making a difference to the lives of people around. So I thought there should be something more than what you have done until now, something so important and so unmissable, and that becomes the missing link of all the personal transformation that is happening. I can see a message. The audio is not audible. Okay, so I thought of bringing, since it is only probably a 90-minute session, I thought of bringing the most important points and elements so that we can sow the seed of this thought that I am going to present today. Before we begin give me a second. Yeah, in most of my trainings, this is a common question, thing that I ask: are you an auditor or an engager? And since I understand that, most people who have come here have decided to be here. They have not come just like any other training program, which is a motivational or a thing that just gives a pep talk and that just makes you learn one particular skill. And those who have come here, surely they understand that there is going to be some deeper substance which we are going to go back with. And here's a promise from me. I'm going to make my best efforts to give you the best substance in the next probably more than 60 minutes. So my first question to you is, are you an auditor or an engager? And let me tell you what an auditor is and what an engager is. An auditor is somebody, they are more busy in capturing the info part. They're more busy in taking the information part and are actually not deeply engaging with the experience that is happening over there. So either they are busy taking notes, or they are busy finding something relevant for their own, which they can use somewhere else. So this is one part. I don't say that learning doesn't happen through that. Learning happens through that. But there is still a limitation because you already come with a predisposed framework. Engager is somebody, they are just available there. They're open to anything that is going to come, and they're open to anything that is being delivered. So I want you are very welcome to take your own notes, but at the same time, I want you to have your open attention over here rather than being focused on what you want to take from here. I think the chat is available here. I would want you to go ahead and give me a yes if you are going to engage thoroughly throughout this training. I want you to go and give me a yes, a big yes, so that we are going to give our own best shot, and in the next 90 minutes, and we are going to take something that will be useful to our families, that will be useful to our communities, and that will be useful to our own JCI members. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So since we have decided to be engagers here, this is the roadmap for the session. We are going to have these 5 things we are going to cover, and we are going to uncover probably these 5 things. We are going to have an introduction to the types of change makers, and we are going to have a quick trip into the evolution of personal transformation or personal change, and we are going to take stock, taking stock of the present situation that is happening, that brings the demand for this kind of a session. And then we are going to discuss about the need for a new way of thinking. And finally, we are going to come to that C factor, the transformational training for the post-2020 world. Most people who have come here have been attending dozens of trainings. They have been giving dozens of trainings, and with all your experience that you have come here, I invite you to participate in this with a very open mindset to the history, to the present, and to the future, because the entire future of our JCs or the communities or the organizations and the cultures depend mostly on transformational agents. And since we have taken interest to be here, I'm sure we are those change makers, and we are going to engage through these 5 things. But before I take you to the most important, the C factor, there are 4 things which we need to put in right perspective. Because if we don't understand, the history of that, then probably there is no use of learning about what we are going to do. It's like a journey, and the journey starts from understanding the 3 types of the general types of change makers. When I give a number, I request you not to take it as the permanent framework that I'm giving. This itself is a thought that has been evolving for a long time, and I'm sure after this session or post this session, you are going to add some value through your own experience and through your own insight. I would want you to do that. So coming to the first one, these are the 3 kinds of change makers that I have come across, and probably most trainers, my seniors, have also come across. And these are 3 types. Goal setters. The first kind of them are goal setters. The second kind are problem solvers, and the third kind are opportunity seekers. When I speak about goal setters, we have been drowning in the information of goal setting, achieving your goals, the sense of accomplishment, the sense of achievement. So many things are happening over here. And right from the childhood, we have been learning that, having a goal is very important, and that without goal, there is a sense of directionlessness, as if we don't have any direction. So the moment we find somebody who doesn't have a goal, we right away assume that they are not adding value to this society, and probably if you really want to do something big, then you must have a goal. So this is first kind of change maker. They basically do one thing. They set a big goal for themselves, and usually they are big, hairy, audacious goals, and they declare it open, because this is what we have been learning for last 10 years, that once you have a goal, go to the public, open, and tell them that this is my goal, and I'm going to make it happen by so and so deadline or a time. Now, these people, these change makers are those change makers. They believe that once they achieve their goal, they believe that I will have proved to the world that big goals are achievable, and our very purpose of being here is having a big goal and achieving big goals. So they make change in their own way by having goals and working towards them and achieving those goals. The second kind of people are problem solvers. This is one generation of people. These people believe in solving problems, and they believe that change is possible only when you solve problems, and they identify the problems. So they go out, they find out people, majority number of people who have a common problem, and they try to find out a solution for that. And they believe in the idea that your success depends upon the problem of the majority number of people who you can provide a solution with. So the more number of people you provide a solution with, the more successful you will be. So their whole story revolves around problem solvers. The third kind of people are opportunity seekers. Well, they don't have goals, they don't find problems, but everywhere they are there to find the right opportunity. And when I say opportunity, I'm here to tell you that opportunities are not always achievement-based opportunities, or opportunities are not always success-based opportunities, because fundamentally we are talking about transformation. I would want you to remember this word till the end of this workshop, that we are here to understand the fundamentals of transformation and not just change. So if putting these things in the right perspective, let's take a quick trip into the evolution of personal change. You know, we have been going through different eras. We have been going through different, 20-year phases or 15-year phases or 10-year phases of personal transformation. And every 15 years or 20 years or 50 years, something happens that the era changes, or somebody comes along the way and they bring a new science or a new strategy, and everything else changes. In the next following 10 years, we have trainers coming up, we have speakers coming up, we have authors coming up, we have all kinds of change makers coming up who will focus on what was developed 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So we had a positive thinking era, and then we had a proactive thinking era, and then we had a law of attraction thinking era, and then we had a problem solving era, and then there is something which is going underlying throughout, and that is called a paradigm era. So we'll be quickly discussing about, we'll be taking a quick trip into all these eras individually to see that, where are we coming from, where have we reached, the point that we have reached, and the point that we are headed towards. Or are we really headed towards somewhere, or no? So let's take a look into the positive thinking era. Now, this was an era of Norman Vincent Peale and Robert H. Schuller and Jim Rohn. These were the three stalwarts. These were the three great people who brought this entire wave of positive thinking to all of us, to all these speakers and transformational agents. Now, Norman Vincent Peale was focused more on positive thinking, and he started this concept of think positive in any given situation, so that you can work towards better goals and you can work towards your own personal evolution. So for a long time, there were literature, there were books, there were articles, and there were videos, and there were seminars and speeches on Norman Vincent Peale. Because people started, after 5 years or 10 years of this philosophy, any philosophy that comes, people have a normal tendency to forget that this philosophy that had come was meant for a certain phase, were meant for a certain time, and the people who are undergoing that kind of a circumstance, which might not be relevant to our times or relevant to our context or relevant to our situation. So Norman Vincent Peale's positive thinking was easy for people to understand. So it became like a wave, and people started understanding. People started speaking more about positive thinking. And the next came Robert H. Schuller. I don't know how many of you have heard about him or read about him, but he is this big name behind the thinking called as possibility thinking. About 20 years ago or 25 years ago, this super leader, Robert Schuller, who came with a new concept of thinking called possibility thinking. Positive thinking, when I speak about Norman Vincent Peale, positive thinking was an era where it was only expected for you to think positive, to think that whatever is happening for good, and whatever is happening for my good and everybody's good. So there was a limitation to that. And Robert H. Sculler found that there is a limitation to this kind of a thinking, and probably people are not people all people might not get benefited from this kind of thinking, because it is just asking you to think that it is happening for your own good. मतलब అంటే ఏదైతే అవుతుందో అది మన మంచి కోసం అవుతుందనే ఆలోచన, जो भी हो रहा है हमारे अच्छे के लिए हो रहा है, हमारे भलाई के लिए हो रहा है. तो पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग का सोचना जो है, तो आई मीन द थिंकिंग वाज लिमिटेड, बट रॉबर्ट स्कलर ब्रॉट आउट अ न्यू थिंकिंग कॉल्ड एज possibility thinking, and he said that there is a level beyond possibility thinking, and that level is about thinking about options. So in any given situation, instead of thinking that this is just going to help me in any which way, you can find your options, and you can start working towards your options in spite of lack of resources. So you start building options of possibility. So he named it possibility thinking, and the thinking was going around the idea of ideation, idea management. And I'll tell you the concrete result. I'll tell you the concrete result of this kind of thinking. About 20 years ago, this is a book that he brought out, and the book's name is "Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do." I hope it's visible in the right way. If not, the name is "Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do." And with this book, he brought out to the world the concept of possibility thinking and idea management. The third person was Jim Rohn, who is said to be the father of personality development, or father of personal growth or personal transformation. Most leaders who we watch on YouTube today, and most leaders, transformational gurus of this world today, have been disciples of this one gentleman, Jim Rohn. He was so fantastic that he spoke about personal responsibility, he spoke about personal transformation, but most of his concept was revolving around personal development. So this was an era of positive thinking. The next one was the era of proactive thinking. Well, when I say the next one, I'm not saying immediate next one, I'm just saying that these are the different eras that we have gone through. So take it in the right spirit. And so the one that we have been obsessed for a very long time, for our time management strategies, for our planning strategies, for our prioritizing strategies, is Stephen R. Covey. He brought out this thinking called proactive thinking, and he was the author of this super book, world famous book, which none of the trainers might have missed, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, what this gentleman brought is a thinking that was one level deeper or one level higher to positive thinking and possibility thinking. He said that in addition to finding the possibilities of getting the job done right now, we can even find options for the problems that might come up 10 years later by working on the most important things right away. So this was a huge long era, and probably we are still going through most regions of this world, and most speakers and trainers are still learning about the concepts of proactive thinking. The next one, which I would like to call, it's a problem solving era. Now, in a problem solving era, I don't want to call one person or two people or three people as the stalwarts, because everybody who has had this bent of idea that no, we need to find out a problem to solve, and the more problems you solve, the more there is a change that is happening everywhere, and as part of this, even I am changing or I am growing. So you have Steve Jobs coming, you have Bill Gates coming, you have Richard Branson coming. With all these entrepreneurs are obsessed about finding problems to solve. And these people are obsessed about finding problems, and they believe that the number of problems that you solve decides the amount, the intensity of transformation that's going to happen all across the world. So this is one era that we have gone through. And then the most fascinating, most enigmatic, and the most entertaining thing that we had in the last 20 years or so is this law of attraction era. But most people aren't aware. People might have come to know about this through the movie, Rhonda Byrne's movie, The Secret. But this philosophy has been here for a very, very, very long time. It's over 100 years ago that this philosophy of this idea of law of attraction started, and these were the people behind it. Wallace D. Wattles, who brought out the book The Sense of Getting Riches, and Charles F. Haanel, who brought out this book called The Master Key System. I am speaking about these books which were written about 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago. That means that these all philosophies had always been together and have been being operated by people and being employed by people for all these years. So there is nothing like one after the other. Rather, there are philosophies which are operating at the same level. And law of attraction has been there for over 100 years. And Napoleon Hill, with his Think and Grow Rich, was this massive blockbuster, which still is also being considered as one of the top selling personal transformation book. And we have taken repeatedly ideas of inspiration from this book, which tells us that you become what you think about most. And people started understanding that there is some significance to this thought that is happening in your brain, and they started applying this pressure that, okay, if I think something, if I intensify my thinking to a certain extent, I will have materialized my dreams and my goals. This was one long era that has been going on. And now let's come to this evolution, the last part, that is the paradigm moments. I don't call this an era, rather I would call this moments. These are moments that have happened in this universe. There was a Buddha that happened to this universe. There was a Jesus that happened to the universe. There are so many things that the nature makes possible, and only nature can do that, only universe can do that. This is not something that you strategize for. This is not something that you plan for. This is not that you work towards for. These are some things that happen every 50 years or every 100 years or every 200 years, which just brings such a massive shift in this world that once this happens, life is different, thinking is different, people are different, and the very way of looking at life becomes different. And we call it the shift. And once the shift has happened, you cannot revert back, you cannot go back to the previous kind of thinking unless you don't want to do it. And most people commonly start following in this way, and they become part of this major paradigm that is happening, that is going through. So since we are here, and since the very training was named as the transformational training for the post 2020 world, I'm sure everybody who is interested in this would be wanting the insights and the ideas about how do we work through all these, and how do we work through a major paradigm shift that is happening as of now in the world. Now, taking stock of the situation, earlier we dealt with small wars that were happening. We were preparing for a war, and we were investing so much in the thinking that how would we respond to a physical war that might happen at any point of time. And nations went on investing thousands and millions of dollars only on assuming a war where there was no war, and assuming that how would we respond to this situation in case of a war. And then there was another thing that was happening was terrorism. We kept on keeping ourselves obsessed about terrorism and how to deal with terrorism, and this was bringing a major paradigm shift in our entire universe and their world. The attack, 9/11 attack, probably if you remember, was a major shift in the paradigm of business operations, of universal ties, of country-to-country relationships, of politics, of business, many other things. The very one terrorist attack could change everything, and the entire paradigm was toppled and changed in just one attack. The third one is epidemic. Now this is something that we are going through, and since we are here, and since we are binge watching all these YouTube videos, and we are trying to do something. We are looking at options that how I can be of help, how I can add value to this world, and how I can bring this little difference during this time of epidemic. Now I'm told that, or as we get to know from television or news that we watch sometimes, that this kind of an epidemic was, years ago we had one which was of such great intensity. But the kind of epidemic, that we have as of now has bring a sense of emergency across the world. In this situation, probably this is high time we started realizing this. There is a need for a new thinking, for a new way of thinking. We are not looking for tools and techniques and strategies. This is a time we are here to inspire hope. This is the time we are here to change lives, and this is the time we are all together to upshift humanity, which is not a small thing or which is not a difficult thing even. But the only problem is how we look at things and how we get to do them, or how we understand them. Now, since all of us have this right intention to inspire hope and change lives and upshift humanity, there is something that we will have to take responsibility for, and there is something we need to understand that we have to do. And I would want you to take back to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is that one hierarchy of need that we have been repeatedly coming across for years and years as part of our training. And I would want you to look at this picture. I would want you to look from the bottom and see what comes first, what comes next. See, the first part is the physiological level of our needs, where we think just of our survival, as a life. The second, we are more bothered about our food, we are more bothered about the basic things that are required for healthy breathing, our own basic health, and medicine, and so many things which are essential only to keep us alive. The second level is safety level. Safety level is where we want that sense of security to work around, to live around, to go around, and to just enjoy our life. But more than our having fun, we have a primary thinking which makes us think about our security. How secure do we feel? And you probably know the situation going on as of now. The third level at which we keep on talking about, or the need that we are training on, are belongingness and social need. At this level, we have more need about connecting with people. We are worried. We are more concerned about relationships. We are more concerned about our Facebook friends. We are more concerned about our connectivity, and we are more concerned about our family and how we are connecting with them. And do I have people who care about me? And do I care about enough people? So this is a level where the need is about a sense of belongingness and a sense of social aspect of my being here as a human being. The next level, the higher level, is at a self-esteem level. At a self-esteem level, I am more concerned about how I treat myself, how people treat me, how I treat people, and it's more to do with my self-respect. And the question is, where do I get my sense of worth from? Do I feel worthy enough? Do I feel important enough? Are people treating me in the right way, or am I treating them in the right way? So these are the questions that are mostly asked when we talk about self-esteem. And the last one, the top one, see, this is how we have been watching, this is how we have been working on personal transformation. We are more focused on the physiological level, on the safety level, on the belonging level, on the self-esteem level, and we say that the self-actualization is the last level. Whereas if you look at the picture, you will see that is the first level. That is the first level actually where the transformation actually starts from. but we are so trained, we are so educated, we are so tuned into the fact that we are more working on the bottom rungs of the ladder than the higher rungs of the ladder. And the last one at the top is the self-actualization. Self-actualization is that idea that we have so much of potential in us, and there is a need to actualize, to develop, and to bring out this potential that we are born with. And it comes with an idea that everybody has this innate potential. Everybody has got this innate potential within, and this has to come out, and this has to be brought out through our trainings and seminars. Now, if you look at the approach to change that we have been applying till now, do you see this? Our very approach has been an outside-in approach. We start from the things that are material, we start from the things that are visible, and then slowly we go back to the things that are invisible. We start from the physiological level, we start from our food, we start about our breathing, we start about the medicines, or we start about the health, or we start about the basic things, or water, or basic things that are necessary to live, and then we start growing into the safety factor, and then we start thinking about the social side, and then we come a little more deeper towards our own self, and that is our self-respect and self-esteem. And finally, we assume that if I take care of all these four things, my final one, my fifth one, or my top one, or the deepest part, self-actualization, is being taken care of automatically. So probably we start thinking that every skill development that we are doing, or every talent development that we are doing, is helping me actualize my potential, and we have been so blindsided to the actual development that has to happen from within. And all this training I would like to speak about in two perspectives, that is outside in approach and inside out approach. So remember, till the end we are is there any problem? Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible, sir.
Yeah. So the two approaches that we will be dealing with will be outside in approach and inside out approach. And let's see how we go. So the approach to training for change, that I wanted to speak about, the real transformation for the post-2020 world, given the situation that is happening all around. I think you need to remember this thing very closely. See, if I take you to the previous slide, where I say the training that starts from the outer to the inner is the outside in approach, and the training which starts from the inner to the outer is the inside out approach. Now here, if you look at this slide, you will understand that most of our trainings have been focused on skill development, talent development, and everything that is related to our physiological needs and the safety needs. And we have been so obsessed that, thinking that if I keep on beefing up my strengths, if I keep on improving my capacities in the skill development and talent development, probably I'm actualizing myself, not understanding that this is a very, very, very minor part of actualizing of your real potentials. And the upper two levels of the trainings of related to belongingness and social side aspect of your personality and the self-esteem have been obsessed about personalities, achievement mindset, and success mindset. And here comes, any training that you think about any training, be it your communication skills training, be it your personality development training, be it your time management training, be it your thinking mindset training, anything. Now you can bring all these trainings into these two broad categories that I'm dividing into. One is the skills and talent development, which actually is focusing only on the bottom two rungs of the ladder, and all the other personality development and achievement based and success mindset training or visualization training and All these things are only limited. I'm not saying they don't do benefits. They do the benefits. You have your own, you have your own advantages of being there and participating in them. But they have a limitation, and the limitation is that they work at most, they work till your self-esteem level. The final level of training that probably we are ignoring, or probably we think that it will be taken care of by itself, or probably we are not being educated that is the level of training and transformation that the entire universe is moving towards, and that becomes the need of the hour today, which all trainers and all transformation agents need to focus on. And that is well-being. How much have we been training or learning on well-being? And the moment I speak about well-being, there are a few things that we are taking care, and that is physical health. When I say physical health, again that goes back to the first rung of the ladder. And when I say, there are people, who say that well-being can be taken care of by meditation or by yoga or by all other things. But I again would like to remind you that there is another era which has been going on for probably more than 200 years of all kinds of alternative therapies. Reiki therapy, pranic healing therapy, crystal therapy, you have sound therapies. All these therapies are again, limiting you at the physiological level and a little more mental level, but not actually taking you to the deepest level of your well-being. So today, the transformational training that we'll be discussing about, and the approach that we will be we'll be getting a few insights on, will be actually starting at the self-actualization level and above the self-esteem level. This is the transformational training that is the need of the hour. And I would want you to look at the approach that we are going to take, and how this approach is what, I would want to give you a clear picture on the outside difference between the outside in approach and the inside out approach. When I say outside in approach, the basic meaning is that you want to do something in order to be somebody. And the inside approach is that you be somebody in order to do something as a result of you being that. And you don't take it in a way that unless I do this, I won't be right, or unless I do this, I can't transform or change myself. Whereas the inside approach is, if I be who I am really, who I am in real, then probably I will have all the things that I need as a result of being who I am. So let's see how activities are different and how their results are different when you start from an outside in approach and an inside out approach. Any activity which banks upon the outside in approach is an extension to who you are. That means you're adding something to you from outside. You might be adding a skill, or you might be adding a talent, or you might be adding an activity, but basically it is an extension to who you already are. And whereas the activities which are related to inside out approach are the expression of who you are. See the difference? There is a lot of difference between these two things. One is an addition, one is an expression. So the thought behind that is, the extension is on the right side of your screen. If you see the extension part, more of who you are not. So you find something that you're not doing, you find something that you don't have in your list as of now, and you want to do it. You want to do it thinking that if I do this, this will complete me. And if I do this, I'll be able to live better. If I do this, probably I will be a better person. I will be a transformed person. So this is an extension to who you are. Whereas the activity of inside out approaches are expression of who you actually are. So this is more of who you are. That means you are not adding something from outside, rather you are becoming more of who you actually are, and you are naturally allowing yourself to become more. in a very natural way. It's very easy to say. It's very easy to say that that all development is causing transformation, and also to see the best lesson from the nature that we have to learn, and we are probably ignoring that best lesson from nature is that no part of this nature, no entity of this nature is trying to become something else or somebody else. Only human beings are stuck in this paradigm that I need to become something else, or I have to become something else in order to be a better me or an authentic me. Have you seen a flower trying to become another flower? Have you seen an animal trying to become another animal? Have you seen anything on this planet trying to become something else? Probably no. We are the only species who are wanting to become somebody in order to be who we actually are. And that is why we are stuck in this paradigm of outside in approach, whereas we have a very innate and a very natural sense of well-being, which is always available to us, which is always available to anybody of us, irrespective of their mental capabilities, irrespective of their educational backgrounds, irrespective of their knowledge, and irrespective of whether they are a trainer or not a trainer, and irrespective of whether they read books or not. But the natural sense of well-being is always available. And we have blindfolded ourselves to this real fact that we are made up of. And how do you find the small difference between, how do you find the small difference between extension and expression of who you are? In the extension approach, in the outside in approach, there is more of doing and doing. We are obsessed by doing this, doing that. I have to build a strategy, I have to build a plan, I have to build a routine, I have to build a to-do list, I have to build a strategy to do this, and we are obsessed about doing and doing more in order to be who we actually are. And whereas the inside out approach focuses more on being. It is something like an inward journey. It is something like it brings you back more and more, closer and closer to you. So the journey actually starts from within. The journey actually starts by being more of who you actually are. It's not about feeling that you are incomplete and that this course is going to complete you. I'm not feeling that I'm incomplete and that this activity is going to complete me. Or probably I cannot become better without this one particular certification or one particular book or one particular activity. So the very approach is different. So what is the final requirement of these two kinds of approaches? If you look to the bottom, you will see that extension, the outside in approach, requires your techniques, tools, and strategies. So most of the courses that you will be doing, you will be wanting to grab all the tools, you will be wanting to grab all the techniques, and you will be obsessed about learning the right strategy to do something. I have come across any number of successful people, and they are not obsessed about tools, techniques, or strategy. They are rather more enjoying only being more of their self, and the rest of the things become part of their journey, and they are not obsessed about grabbing them or feeling that I'm incomplete without my tools, or incomplete without my techniques, or incomplete without the strategies. And how they are different when it comes to becoming a transformational trainer. Now, if you look at the screen, you will see a little more expansion of what is the meaning of this. And the real meaning is that, all the outside in approach activities, and since they are an extension to who you are, they make you feel incomplete. మీరు అందులో ఎంత బాగా చేసినా, ఆ టూల్స్ లో మీరు ఎంత స్ట్రాంగ్ అయిపోయినా, ఆ టెక్నిక్స్ లో మీరు ఎంత స్ట్రాంగ్ అయిపోయినా, మీ దగ్గర ఎలాంటి ప్లాన్స్ ఉన్నా, అండ్ మీ దగ్గర ఎలాంటి డైరీస్ ఉన్నా, మీ దగ్గర ఎలాంటి టు డూ లిస్ట్స్ ఉన్నా, at the end of the day you will feel incomplete. You will feel that I am in a rush. You will feel that I am not somebody unless I am doing these things. I am not of worth if I leave doing these things. Though probably you are incomplete without all those tools and strategies. And what this does, look at the opposite side, the expression of who you are. this makes you feel fulfilled in the moment. You feel completed. You don't feel that I am not somebody of worth unless I do these things. You feel that I am somebody already, and what I'm doing is a more and more expression of who I am. So I'm not running anywhere, so I'm not doing things to grab them as if I'm going to lose them. And you have this sense of fulfillment from within. And the fundamental difference, basic difference between these two are, again, when you do more of the outside in approach, when you participate more in the outside in approach, you at the end of the day, even after 10 years, in spite of all the success that you might be seeing, you will still feel disconnected from within, and you will feel as if you are always running and working on the treadmill. Somebody who has been running on the treadmill might be accomplished enough to talk over phone, and might be accomplished enough to read a book, or might be accomplished enough to drink a glass of juice. He might be multitasking, he might be doing so many things, but still he is working on the treadmill, and he is still worried. He still knows that there is something more, and he's always in a rush through the moment. Whereas when you are engaged, when you are deeply engaged, with more of inside out approach, you will feel connected from within. You don't rush through the moment. You are not in a run. You are not chasing something. You are right there enjoying and doing what you really love to do, and you are becoming more of you actually are. You're not trying to copy somebody. You are not trying to get inspired from somebody's success. And the journey becomes like drifting on water. You're just drifting like a boat on a water, and you know that you are safe. You know that you are so good. You are enjoying your journey, and you know that your well-being is taken care of in the moment. And you don't believe that if I do this, I'll be happy after 10 years. Rather, you feel that I'm happy right now. Now, if you see here, what is now fundamentally the difference in the mindset, if you really want to make a difference to the society, somewhere you need to understand that this is where you need to understand there is a difference in the mindset. The outside in approach is more obsessed about the process of thinking, whereas the inside approach mindset is more actually on the thought that is existing. Koncham deep vision. And if you think that the outside in approach is more on thinking, how to think, what to think, how not to think, and you are building your systems around all these processes which can help you become a better transformed person, and help you start promising others that if you think like this way, or if you positive thinking or proactive thinking, these are all systems. And when you assume that if I adopt such kind of a thinking, I'll become a better person. Whereas the inside approach is more about thought, and which comes from the understanding. You know that if I understand these principles, you think that if I understand this concept, if I understand, I'm different. Because once the understanding has happened, the insight has popped up, you are a different person. You don't have to do a certain thing to become a better person. So the outside in approach is more and more focused on tools and strategies, whereas the mindset of inside out approach is more and more focused on insights and realization. So once the realization has happened, you are a different person. Once the realization has happened, you are a transformed person. You don't do certain things to become realized. And what is the framework difference of the outside in approach and the inside out approach? You see, any system that is there, you try to adopt from outside gives you a predetermined framework. So what happens, you have a framework and you have to think in a certain way. So you are limited again. So that means that you again are limiting yourself to a certain system, thinking that if I'm stuck with this system, I'll be a better person. Whereas in the mindset level, you get a fresh start. You have a fresh start, and you are open to all. అంటే ఈ రోజు నాకు ఒక ఆలోచన వచ్చింది, ఆ ఆలోచనతోనే నేను మారుతున్నాను కానీ ఈ పర్టికులర్ సిస్టమ్ ని నేను అడాప్ట్ చేసేస్తే నేను మారిపోతానని కాదు. సో ఫైనలీ you're all looking for a kind of freedom. What is the freedom? See, when when you're adopting a thinking pattern or a system, you are choosing to become free from something. Whereas when you adopt a mindset of the inside approach, inside out approach, you are adopting a mindset to for a freedom to do something. ఈ చిన్న డీప్ విషయం అయినప్పటికీ కూడా you will see that freedom from something, that means you want to run away from something, you want to protect yourself from something. Whereas freedom to do something, you are expressing yourself, you are becoming, you are trying to express more of who you are. So how do you do that? So the questions that you need to ask yourself are, this is, what is a mindset? And the answer is right in front of you. A mindset is a set way of mind. So what's a mind then? A mind is a thought in action. Ante, if you take your notes right now, please try to understand what is a mindset. A mindset is a set way of mind. So what's the mind then? Mind is thought in action. That means that, so if mind is thought in action, then mindset is nothing but the habitual way of thinking. That means మనకు ఆల్రెడీ ఒక మైండ్ సెట్ ఉంది, and you want to, if you believe that if I replace this mindset with another mindset, I'll be more happier. That means you are just changing the material. You're saying that if I come out of this habitual way of thinking to the another set way of thinking, that means you are changing the content. But whereas the actual well-being is left as it is. I'll give you an example of that. Until now, if you see here, can I remove these? Okay. See, until now, most of your trainings and your change interventions have been focusing on the study of action that can influence mindsets. I hope you are understanding. If most of you have been attending the trainings and seminars and all that, talks and change things that are happening here, you will see that most study and most research has been happening about what to do in order to influence the mindset. అంటే మనం ఏం చేస్తే, ఏ యాక్షన్ తీసుకుంటే, ఎలాంటి రిపీటెడ్ బిహేవియర్ చేస్తే, ఎలాంటి రిపీటేటివ్ యాక్షన్ చేస్తే మన మైండ్ సెట్ మారుతుంది. అంటే ఇప్పటికీ కూడా వీఆర్ ఆల్ ఆబ్సెస్డ్ అబౌట్ ది అవుట్ సైడ్ ఇన్ అప్రోచ్, బట్ whereas we speak about the inside out approach, మనం మాట్లాడేది ఇన్సైడ్ అప్రోచ్ కానీ మనం చేసేది మాత్రం అవుట్ సైడ్ ఇన్ అప్రోచ్ మాత్రమే. And if you see, the transformational training focuses on the very nature of thought even before it becomes thinking. Ante thought veru, thinking veru. Thought is like a pixel on your computer screen. Thought is like a pixel. Oka image form avvadaniki chaala process untundi. Aa image process ayina daniki raw material edaithe meeku kanabadundo, minutest dot edaithe undo adi pixel. Mana thought pixel lantidi, mana thought ki thinking ki, these are two different things. Kani as a practice, what is happening, we assume that thought and thinking are same, and that is where the difference is not happening, and that is the space that the transformational training has to start from. And transformational training focuses on the very nature of thought even before it becomes thinking. This reminds me of a quote from Joseph Campbell, who is a leading professor from US. He says that we have to get rid of life we had planned for life that's waiting for us. If you look into this deeply, I would want you to understand what could be the meaning of this. What could be the meaning of this? We had to get rid of life we had planned for life that's waiting for us. అంటే మనం ప్లాన్ చేసిన లైఫ్ కంటే ఏ లైఫ్ అయితే మన కోసం వెయిట్ చేస్తుందో ఆ లైఫ్ గురించి మనం ప్లాన్ చేసుకున్న లైఫ్ ని విడిచిపెట్టాలా. ఈ రోజు in this given situation, do you see how many plans have been collapsed? Do you see how many business strategies have collapsed? Do you see how many new things are coming? And do you see how many systems are, those are very well planned and well executed systems which are not functioning and which have been rendered useless because of this epidemic that is happening. ఈ రోజు సిచ్యువేషన్ చూస్తే మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది. అంటే మనం ప్లాన్ చేసుకున్న లైఫ్ ని యూనివర్స్ కెన్ టర్న్ అరౌండ్ లైక్ దిస్ అండ్ నేచర్ కెన్ put a full stop at any point of time. And Joseph Campbell says that we have to get rid of life we had planned for life that's waiting for us. And transformational training is this, the entire meaning of this one statement. Let's see how this is possible. And now we come to that real substance material, the C factor, the transformational training that has already started across the world, and a clean layer of people have already focused on these three areas only. And మన వరకు వచ్చేసరికి by the time we get to know that these are the core areas, probably another 5 years or another 2 years or 3 years, we will still be carrying the same outdated workshops and seminars and topics, and we will be still discussing and trying to think that those systems are going to help us. But you know the reality, you know the fact that when the entire universe has gone through a major shift, probably the tools are rendered useless. Those things are not going to help us. Do you understand the pain this society is going through? Do you see the fact that what the universe is going through? It is a major shift that is happening across the world. And this is high time we woke up as the trainers, and we need to, as change makers, we need to find out what is still somewhere around, which is actually working through this process, and which is going to become most important for the next 10 years. These are the three things which are going to become most important in training and any change intervention that is going to happen across the world. The first one is clarity, the second one is connection, and the third one is coaching. We are going to understand the basic ideas of what clarity is and what connection is, and how we can use coaching. These three things, clarity, connection, and coaching, to help this world around, this society around, and the community around to handle this situation, or probably to grow out of this situation that we are going through. So the first one, if you look at the fact that if you look at this screen, we are only talking about clarity here. And clarity about what? Fundamentally, the clarity that you need to take care about is the chaos that is happening and the change that is happening. Clarity is the most important element which is missing. ఈరోజు ఎంతమందిని అడిగినా ఎన్ని యాక్టివిటీస్ అయితే చేస్తున్నారో, ఐఎమ్ స్పీకింగ్ అబౌట్ బోత్ ద నెగటివ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ ఆర్ ద పాజిటివ్ యాక్టివిటీస్, వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ కాల్. There are people who are doing more of positive activities, not knowing what to do. There are people who are doing more of negative activities, not knowing what to do. And the common reason is chaos. There is no clarity. And the point is, they are wanting clarity. And the normal thing that happens in a crisis like this is, you fall back into the previous patterns only. You go back to the previous patterns only. మనకు కష్టం వచ్చినప్పుడు, మనకు బాధ ఉన్నప్పుడు, కొత్త విధానాన్ని కనిపెట్టడానికంటే పాత పద్ధతిలోకి పడిపోయే అలవాటు మనకు చాలా ఉంది. And that is what is happening. Since there is a chaos everywhere, and you find that, okay, this is a good time, so what do? Just switch on the television or binge watch YouTube videos and scroll through all the messages, and you're doing more of the things you feel safer with. You do more of the things you feel ease in, and you feel that I'm happy doing these things, I've got a lot of time and I'm at home. The thing is, you are doing more of what you should not do, because you don't understand how to deal with the chaos. And the next one is change. And irrespective of what is happening, I hope you understand that there is a massive change that is happening. And as a transformational trainer, or a transformational speaker, or as a transformational agent who wants to do something, at least for his family, we need to build a clarity about chaos and change. And the clarity is that not about how to deal with chaos. In chaos to ela deal cheyali, ela handle cheyali ani kaadu. The first point you should try to understand is that we need to experience this. in anything that you do, if you are trying to escape from the experience by way of anything, అంటే నేను ఈ 21 days లో ఈ లాకౌట్ టైంలో లేకపోతే ఈ లాకౌట్ అయిన తర్వాత 1 year వరకు కూడా నేను నా యాక్టివిటీస్ తో నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ని మిస్ అయిపోతాను అనుకుంటే probably the experience here is missing and the transformation is not going to happen, and we will remain followers, we will be following somebody's ideas, and we will be thinking that I'm doing good. But my point is, before even you strategize what to do or how to handle the situation, I would want you to spend time experiencing what is happening within, and that is where the insights come from, and that is where the ideas come from. Please do not ignore the experience that you are undergoing, because that is most important to you as a transformational trainer. How do you do that? The next point, getting comfortable. You know, how comfortable are you with this, what is happening around? Are you comfortable with this, or are you feeling uneasy, or you feel that you have to do something, you have to run more, or you have to immediately take charge of this thing, and you have to create something new so that you will be feeling that I'm doing something important, else I will not be feeling important. This is most important. I want you to focus, whatever you do, whatever activities you are engaged in, I want you to focus on one thing. How comfortable are you being with yourself during this chaos? The next one is change. By the end of this workshop, we'll be giving you the material, and we'll be giving you the complete framework of how these things have to be done too. So the change. Now, in the change jarugutundi kada, so much of change that is happening around, the need for transformational training today is finding a new way of looking at it, not finding a new way of dealing with it, finding a new way of dealing and handling. So many people are doing, but as transformational trainers, the most important thing that you will have to do is finding a new way of looking at it. How do you look at the crisis that is happening? Are you blaming the situations? Are you not happy with the situations? What exactly is your perspective? If I ask you a question, why is this happening? Why do you think this is happening? Answer yourself, and sit back and answer yourself. Why do you think this is happening, and where is this headed towards? ఎందుకు జరుగుతుంది ఇంత క్రైసిస్ వరల్డ్ లో? ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతుంది? మళ్ళీ 100 years తర్వాత why do you think this is happening right now, and what is the universe expecting from us to do, or how is the universe expecting us to be? I want you to take a deep look at this, because this is only a limited session that we are doing here. I'm going to leave you here with the idea of how do you find a new way of looking at it. There are three ways. There are three ways of finding a new way of looking at things. Level 1 is specific situation, and level 2 is specific area, and level 3 is global level. Specific situation, specific area, and global. ఎలా ఉంటుందో డీప్ గా ఒకసారి మాట్లాడతాం మనం. స్పెసిఫిక్ సిచ్యువేషన్ ఏంటంటే ఆ సిచ్యువేషన్ మారినంత వరకు మాత్రమే you're dealing with the situation. Once the situation is over, you're least bothered about it, and you're back to the same personality. Specific area, either you're thinking about relationship, or you're thinking about business, or you're thinking about your social needs, or any one area, or you're thinking about your decision making. That is one area. So once you have a different way of looking at life in that area, you are done, you are successful in that, and you are back to the normal personality. But we are not looking at this kind of a transformation. We are looking at a global level of change. We are looking at an overall level of change. And that change, once happens to me or to you, should be part of anything that I do, or should be part of anything that you do. So how do you do? We'll go to the next level of here, the change level, the second one, change. If you look at this, I'm going to elaborate this: specific situation, specific area, and global. What is the requirement to experience this change? If you want to deal with a specific situation, what you need is a tool. Basically, tools kavali. You'll be running for a tool or a technique. So all the trainings which focus more on tools and techniques actually help you only to deal with the specific situation. And the specific area, if you want a change in specific bigger area, then you need a strategy. So everything, all the trainings and seminars and workshops that give you a strategy, a bigger strategy to deal, probably they're helping you in a larger area, but not global. But they are not going to bring out that complete transformation in you. And the last one, the most important one, is global level. This is where the transformational training is going to happen, and this is where you are needed to make a major difference at a global level, and that is a paradigm. You know, all these tools that we have helped, which have helped us so far, or all these strategies which have helped us so far, probably are not going to do any good unless we are operating from a different paradigm. And you know, I'll give you an example in this. If you watch this here, I want you to read this. I want you to read. I want you to read here. Rakesh is a customer service representative in a medium-sized manufacturing company or factory, and he's having a really bad day. The biggest challenge is he has to make a phone call, and he needs to make to a supplier in Delhi. He has to talk to somebody, and he's having a really bad day. This is a case study that we are taking. If Rakesh is feeling bad because he has to make a phone call to somebody in Delhi, he has some business. Challenge ఏంటి? ఆ phone call is challenge. ఇప్పుడు what kind of training will you give him? See, he's into business and he has a problem. The problem is that he has to make a call. That's all. Now, at a level one, at tool or technique level, the action plan will be work on his state of mind and get him into a more confident state. The basic thing that any trainer would do is, come on, let's give him a pep talk, let's motivate him, and let's help him become more confident. And activities they might use as part of their training will be role play or call handling tips they'll give them, or even ask them to prepare a complete script. And based on them, they might ask to practice that to boost the confidence level. So what will be the result? The result would be what? The confidence is boosted and the situation might have resolved. So situation resolved. The moment the situation is resolved, my question to you, the moment the situation is resolved, do you think Rakesh is a different person? Do you think Rakesh has transformed a different person? Obviously no. Rakesh is the same person. The only point is he has resolved the situation and he succeeded in the situation. This is how tools and techniques give you a limited help only. The next level, strategy level or a system level. At a strategy level or system level, the action plan is turn him into an effective employee and who's able to handle the wider variety of situations. So you want to help Rakesh, you want to empower Rakesh to become a better person in many different ways, and so that he can handle any kind of situation. So what you will do, you will give him a book and you will tell him, Rakesh, if you read this book, probably you will be a different person and you will be able to handle all these situations. So you will give me an example. I just put an example here, how to talk so people listen. So this is a fantastic book, and you might think that if I give Rakesh this book and if I train Rakesh in rapport building skills or NLP or body language or any other management skills or communication skills or selling skills or closing skills, even these are the skills. So you might think that if I give all these skill sets to Rakesh would be able to handle a wider variety of situations and hence he will be a different person. But the result is, this thing might be, Rakesh might become the best customer service rep, but nothing might have really changed about him at a fundamental level. అంటే ఒక కంప్లీట్ జాబ్ లో రాకేష్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్ అవ్వచ్చు, కానీ at a fundamental level Rakesh might be the same person. I have personally met several people who are super successful in their selling skills, who are super successful in their careers, but fundamentally when you look at them deeply, they are the same, rather more insecure people than many others. I've seen such people in every domain, including training and including personal transformation. So these people, in spite of all this success, in spite of all this growth. Why do you think these people feel insecure from within? The problem is they are operating at a strategy level or a system level of transformation. Now let's see the global level. The global level is the action plan is dealing directly with Rakesh. The way he sees himself and the way he sees other people. How often have you when you give a training program, when you give a workshop, or when you give a talk, or if you intend to become a trainer at some point in life, how important did you ever think that the way Rakesh sees himself and the way Rakesh sees other people is most important than any other thing in the transformation? It is one part of the training anukuntam manam, but this is the most important training that is going to transform him on the world around. So the activity will be inside out approach of conversation and will be more reflective and will help Rakesh go back and look into himself and reflect and why am I thinking first of all in this kind of a way. We'll go into what helps. So the result is when any of the element of this action plan changes, Rakesh will not only become more effective in his job, he will also become more effective in his life. Why? Because Rakesh now has learned a new skill. What is that skill? Reflecting. Rakesh has learned that if I improve as a person from within, my skills will automatically improve, and with the limited skill that I have, I will be adding more value to this world than the people who have used all the techniques and strategies but not have improved at a global level. When I say global level, I don't mean the external global level, I actually mean the internal global level. ఈ గ్లోబల్ లెవెల్లో చేంజ్ అయిపోతే ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ oozes out of you, transformation comes out of you very naturally. The next part is connection. We are at the second level and we have reached a connection level. At a connection level, transformational training always for everybody who is into speaking and training. At a connection level, we need to be more focused on helping people or your participants connect with self and life. Post 2020, people will be least bothered. People might be obsessed about skills and talents, but the real transformation will not happen unless we help people evolve by thinking more about their self, by connecting more with their self and connecting more with the life around. And how do you do that? There are only two ways that you can do that. You can connect with yourself by understanding more of who you are, and you can connect with the life by having the right insights. Understanding knowledge gathering అయిపోయింది. Hundreds of years of knowledge gathering has already been done. We have so much of knowledge and yet we are losing the insights. How do we do that? Well, my question to you is, if you were to be presented with an evidence that one of the most widely held beliefs of modern society was in fact a misunderstanding about how life works, would you be able to listen with an open mind? ఇంతవరకు మనం అండర్స్టాండ్ చేసుకున్నది ఇప్పుడు ఆపరేషనల్ కాదు. If we really have to, if we accept the fact that all this is a misunderstanding right now, only then probably we'll be able to understand what is transformational training and how we can help the world hereafter. Now look at this closely. The most important statement here. I want you to read this. I want you to read this. I want you to read this. The life damaging misunderstanding that I call the something missing puzzle. This is the training puzzle or this is the development puzzle. మనంతా కూడా ఏంటంటే ఇంతవరకు జరిగిన ట్రైనింగ్స్, ఇంతవరకు జరిగిన సెమినార్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఏంటంటే there is something missing. The idea is there is something missing, and the mistaken idea that our core states like our security, our confidence, our peace, our love, our happiness, and success can be provided or threatened by our circumstances, by something. Ante manaku unnadanta kuda we feel that it can be taken away. It can be taken away by something outside. I want you to feel this. These are the statements that basically people around us believe, and we are training them more and more in this only. Now, if you feel this, I'll be dash. There is a core state when I dash. See, I'll be happy, secure, fulfilled, peaceful, better, successful. Okay, when I get the money, when I get the car, when I get the house, the there of stuff. Ante akkadedo undi. If I get that, I'll be happy. And I'll be happy when I find the right work, hobby, exercise, pastime. This is the there of doing. It's there somewhere. If I do that, I'll be happy. The next one. I'll be happy when I have the right partner, I have the right friends, I have right children, the there of people and relationships. I'll be happy when I write the book, when I start the business, I learn the language. It is the there of accomplishment. You will feel happy, or you will feel that my happiness depends on how much I achieve or how much I make. The next one, you feel that I'll be happy, secure, fulfilled, peaceful, better, or successful. Okay, when I can take a year off, I can travel, I can eat at the best places. This is the there of lifestyle. You feel that my happiness depends upon how I maintain my lifestyle. Then there is when you feel that I'll be happy or I'll be secure or fulfilled when I achieve time freedom, financial freedom, or social freedom. This is the there of freedom. You think freedom is there? If I do this, I'll get the freedom. The next one, you will feel that I'll be happy, secure, or fulfilled when I lose the weight, I stop smoking, I start going to the gym, I do this, I do that. That is the there of self-improvement. You feel that unless I do this, I'll not be happy, or I'm not truly something. The next thing, I'll be happy when I change my thinking, my limiting beliefs. Ivanni entante, this is a big paradigm that we are fixed in. We believe that there is something outside there. If I don't work on it, probably I am not going to evolve. And finally, this is the highest level of thing which are trapped in. You will feel that I'll be happy and secure and fulfilled only when I meditate properly, when I find the right practice or get enlightened. This is the there of spirituality. I'll not be happy if I don't visit to the temple. I'll not be happy if I don't practice this. I'll not be. So the point is, you are working on one pattern, and that is, you feel that your core states of your peace, love, and satisfaction, happiness is depending upon something outside. So finally, at the highest level, you will be saying that I'll be more happier if I accept myself, if I love myself, if I let go of everything. This is the highest level of thing, the there of surrender. You are at a level where you say, if I surrender, if I love myself, if I accept more of myself, then probably I'll be happier. You still are saying that your happiness depends upon something outside. The two questions which any of us must ask ourselves or others to help them transform is, what am I resisting and what am I ignoring? Throughout this journey, the two questions that can help you every day, each moment, when you are experiencing something in yourself, the two questions that you must be asking is, what am I resisting and what am I ignoring? And if you are a trainer, then probably you must have always these two questions when you are designing a training for somebody. What is he or she resisting and what is he or she ignoring? When you can understand these two, you will be coming out with wonderful training designs without any support from outside. So the basic difference between the inside out approach and the outside in approach are, we are always living in the feeling of our thinking. I'll not go more into it, but probably if you understand this thing, that 100% of our felt experience is always coming from the thought in the moment. It is not coming from outside. But outside in approach, we believe that something outside is affecting me, my peace, my security, and my fulfillment. So the last one which we all are coming towards is coaching. As a transformational agents or transformational training, the biggest the biggest thing that we have to do is that we have to evolve ourselves from being trainers to being a blend of trainer and coach. Now we are not trainers anymore, and because the era, because since you are here, I believe that you are wanting to do something more in your training, and that more is coaching. I would want you to think that you are addressing the person at a person's level. You are not addressing at the bottom rungs of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You are addressing him at the highest level. You are addressing the person at a deepest level. And how do you do that? By learning how to coach yourself and by learning how to coach others. And the way that you can coach yourself, I found over all these years, the only way that you can coach yourself is by asking powerful questions. And I'm going to give you a wonderful resource for this. And asking powerful questions is the most powerful tool that any transformational trainer needs to add to his own resources as of now. And this is going to become the most important part in the next 20 years, because this is how people will be reflecting you. This is how you will be reflecting, and you will be bringing out that real person who is actually within and that real potential. And how can you help? How can you coach others? Most people think that I can coach others by giving better suggestions, or I can coach others by giving better tools and better techniques or strategies. Sorry, this has not been functioning. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos. There are hundreds and hundreds of books available for that. And probably the best thing that you can do as a coach is listen to your participants, listen to the people you are talking to, and listen with your whole being available, not with your judgmental thinking that I know something which the participants do not know. I'm sorry, if you have all come here, I assume that there is superb experience that you have come here with, and since this is a digital experience that we are having, probably we are muted, but otherwise, had we been together, we would have been a massive explosion of learning with all together. And anybody that you want to help, you need to understand that listening is the best tool, and listening is the 90% that has to happen if you really want to change your participant. And the highest level of transformational training that we need to focus on is well-being. And I would like to tell you that this is not my idea. This slide is not my idea. Rather, I would like to tell you that there is a huge research that has been happening. And I would like to introduce you to this person. I don't know how many of you have gone through his literature. The person's name is Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman. I would want all of you, if you really want to understand transformation, if you really want to understand transformation at a deeper level, it starts at well-being. It doesn't start at techniques, it doesn't start at strategies, it doesn't end at skills, it doesn't end at personality level. Rather, it starts and ends at well-being level. And this guy, this doctor has been doing a massive research and has done so much that you can right away take the benefit of his research that he has done. And this book's name is Flourish by Martin Seligman. And I would rather invite you to visit his website to read this one book called Flourish, and you will understand what massive research has been done and concluded that well-being is the most important thing of any personal transformation. The website that you can visit to is AuthenticHappiness.org. I would want you to take note of this website, AuthenticHappiness.org, and you will see the massive amount of research that has been done on well-being. And well-being is the word for the next 20 years, because that is what we are looking for, and that is what the entire training is moving towards. And there are 5 essential elements of massive, of well-being, and they are positive emotions, engagement, meaning, positive relationships, and accomplishment. When you see the screen this way, I would want you to see that these are only 5 key elements of well-being, but each element must have these 3 properties. It contributes to well-being. Positive emotions aina, engagement aina, meaning aina, positive relationship aina, accomplishment, meaning and purpose. Meaning means purpose. Engagement means the flow with which you are engaged in the activity. So ఈ 5 ఎలిమెంట్స్ మనిషిలో ఉంటేనే మనిషి వెల్ బీయింగ్ అనేది జరుగుతుంది, టేకన్ కేర్ ఆఫ్. So these are the things that have to be taken care of. We are coming to a close, so probably if there are any queries, you can directly WhatsApp me and I'll be sharing the resources with you. And finally, the essential message that as a transformational trainer that we need to remember is, think beyond achievement and be more of who you are. There is a lot that you already are, and how you can go is what you. As part of this, I would actually want to gift all of you a small resource that I have shared with the participants, my own small booklet which I have prepared, which can be the beginning of this, and I would want to share with all those who have participated today in this webinar. You can WhatsApp me directly your email ID and your full name to this mobile number that I've given here, 8500136864, and I'll shoot you this small booklet which can help you with the fundamental questions that are going to help you start your journey of transformational training and personal transformation with. I hope we had a little insight of what transformational training is going towards. We looked into the history, we looked at the present, and we looked at the 3 C's: the clarity, connection, and coaching, the 3 important areas of transformational training that we need to focus on from now onwards to make this massive change to the world around. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again for all the people who have been here. My great thanks to JCI India, JCI Visakha Valley, and President JCI Visakha Valley, and all those wonderful eminent people who have been here. Thank you, Jeevan. Thank you, Rao sir. Thank you, Pawan, and thank you all others for being here. Love you. Thank you.
So thank you so much for your wonderful session. Please, any question and answer. Now it is floor for question and answer. I request you to please kindly ask 1 or 2 questions as we are shortage of time, please.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Ranjan, it's a very good session.
Good afternoon, sir. May I know who this is? Hello.
Nagireddy, sir.
Good afternoon, Nagireddy garu. Thanks for being here.
Oh, wonderful, marvelous, super.
Thank you.
ఇది ఒక సెషన్ సరిపోదు. I think this is part 1. Immediately within short time part 2 మీరు కండక్ట్ చేయాలని ప్రెసిడెంట్ గారిని కోరుతున్నాను.
Sure. Thank you. Definitely. Nagireddy garu. We will see for a more elaborate session on this with the deeper resources which I can share with all the trainers.
Today we have our NOM coordinator Impact 2030, Jesse Ankush Gupta sir with us. So please, can you speak something like, can you unmute yourself? Ankush sir, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being with us for today's session.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Actually, I had a meeting at 11 a.m., so I joined in late at 11:40. This is the first time I'm hearing Ranjanji. For you, this is the first time I'm hearing you, and I must appreciate the energy and the content that you had thoroughly prepared. So it's my bad luck that I missed those previous 40 minutes, and I would be joining in for the second session that you would be having anytime soon. Thank you so much, the President Sindhura ji, and all the other participants who are there. I could feel that he's absolutely right. After 2020, world is going to have a lot of challenges ahead of them, and it's better that if we are prepared and we could be sensing what opportunities we'll be having in 2020. Sir, I would be WhatsApping you my name and email address for the book that you would be sending it to me, but unfortunately I missed clicking that thing. So maybe if you could share it again, I'll just click the photograph of your phone number and everything.
Shall we?
Hi, sir. This is Sangeeta. It was really a wonderful session, and I really liked the fact which you have mentioned, like what we are resisting and what we are ignoring. It is not only for the people whom we train. Actually, it reflects us as well. I have a question, like when we are addressing more than one person, if we are not doing one-on-one coaching, how we can connect everyone into that, that self level?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's assume that, as a trainer, that's what I was about to tell. As there are times more than, we don't coach one-on-one, and there are chances that we have 100 participants. So the very design has to be in such a way that it makes people ponder, it makes people reflect. So your entire session, you should be more focused on how my training is not going to make them do things, rather how my training is going to make them think and reflect on the points that I'm speaking. So this depends upon the elements that you're adding. Probably due to the time constraint, we are not able to elaborate on that, but I will use one word. Any training can be designed in a reflective way, so that people focus more on reflecting on their insights and their understanding than trying to grab the content. So that's the most element part. When we focus on that, then probably even 100 participants, they will still be comfortable, seated and thinking, and will be more on the inside part. That's possible only that way.
Great, sir. Definitely next time on, I'll try to do that. Like I consider all the participants and then develop, develop the content in that way. And I would like to actually listen to one of your sessions, something like that, which can engage all of us into that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We did a recent one, which was a youth success authentic self-leadership blueprint, and which was exactly designed on the same concept that I'm sharing with you right now.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Sangeeta ji.